Hello my little gemstones, it's Afera, and today I'll be reading Riddle Me This by Quarantine Vibes. Chapter 6, The Dream of the Royal Rooster Rescue. Remus was really starting to hate birds. He kicked at a small pebble on the path as he marched forward. This was stupid. This was so incredibly stupid. Why did he have to be the one to find this stupid bug thing, stupid bird that fell in a stupid well? Why did he feel so stupidly uneasy leaving Logan behind? Logan was Thomas's logic. Thomas needed his logic. Without it, Remus was just reduced to random screaming. Horror without logic was just messy and cheap. Yeah, that was it. Remus needed to make sure Thomas's logic was safe so that Remus's functions wouldn't be compromised. It definitely had nothing to do with how Logan basically entrusted his life to Remus of all sides, or with the fact that Logan's giggle was still bouncing around in his brain. Nope. No, nothing at all. Remus groaned and shook his head. He could just make out the well up ahead of him, and he ran towards it. The well was just a simple brick structure, with each brick having one of 5 bug patterns on them. A bee, a ladybug, a worm, a beetle, or an ant. The bricks jutted out in different capacities, meaning it would be pretty easy to climb up and down it. Caw, came a noise from the well, and Remus peered down. A rooster looked back up at him. Caw, said the rooster. Fuck you, said Remus. There was no bucket or string around, so climbing down seemed to be Remus's only option. Remus sighed. He wasn't sure what any riddle had to do with this, but he might as well just start climbing. Remus put his hand on one of the worm bricks and was about to heft himself up when... Crack! Remus flinched and drew his hand back. The brick he had touched crumbled before his eyes, and the entire well shook and broke in different pieces. Crow! The rooster crowed worriedly. Yeah, I heard you the first time, Remus grumbled and put his hand on another brick. Ah, fuck, god damn it! Remus swore when the brick glowed bright red with heat. The well shook again, breaking down even further. Cocorico, said the rooster. Remus groaned and flopped backwards onto the dirt. He closed his eyes. Okay, so this obviously has something to do with that stupid riddle. What was it Wings McGee said? To find the bird in the well, you can't succeed on just your might. Proceed wisely or lose your life? Remus was silent for a moment. Ah! He yelled, scratching at his hair. What the fuck does that even mean? He sat up. Okay. Come on, Remus. You don't know why, but Logan is counting on you. Think like Logan. Come on, you can do this. Bird in a well. Bird in a well. A few minutes of silence passed. Remus screamed again. He hit one of the bricks with his mace. It erupted and the well broke down even more. No! Shit! He started pacing. Okay. What would Logan do? He straightened and put up a finger. Roosters are adult male chickens, also known as cockerels, or cocks. Remus giggled, but then schooled his face into a more neutral expression. Roosters don't have a penis, despite the fact that they are giant cocks attitude-wise. Go! Protested the rooster from the well. Ugh, I know! Remus yelled back. That's definitely not what Logan would say, but... He flopped angrily on the ground. I'm not Logan. I can't think like Logan. All I can think about is how we're going to be stuck here because of a stupid cock in a well. Cocorico! The rooster said angrily. Shut up! Remus said. And why the fuck are you making that sound? Just because your name is French doesn't mean you have to crow in French. Remus's eyes widened. Wait. Cocks in a well. Cocks in a... Oh, no fucking way. Remus reached out and touched one of the bricks with a ladybug on it. He squeezed his eyes shut and waited. Nothing happened. Remus grinned. He hefted himself up and put his foot on another ladybug brick. Again, nothing happened. He continued like that, making sure to only touch the bricks with ladybugs until he reached the bottom of the well. The rooster eyed him curiously. Pierre, Remus said, doing a small bow as he hung off the edge of the wall. Go, Pierre responded, doing a tiny bow with his head. Remus reached out and grabbed the rooster, placing it on his shoulders as he made his way back up the well wall. Fuck, it's slippery down here, Remus muttered. Shit! His hand slipped, grazing an ant brick. The well shook angrily, and the brick that Remus's foot was on crumbled. Ah! Remus screamed, feeling his foothold break as he was left swinging halfway up the well. Go! Pierre screamed with him, ruffling his feathers. Shut it, bird! Just give me a second, Remus said. He took a deep breath in. The next ladybug brick was just a bit above him. He used his right hand to boost himself up and grab it, but just as he did, the well crumbled further. Damn it, must have reached its limit, Remus said, quickly grabbing the next brick. Around him, bricks fell off the wall. Large cracks appeared, and small stone pieces fell back towards him. Almost there! Almost... Whoa! In his haste, he accidentally grabbed a beetle brick. Spikes jutted out from the opposite well wall, and Remus had to use his arms to pull him and Pierre out of the way before they got skewered. The well was practically in ruins now, but Remus could just make out the top. Cocorico! Stop being such a backseat driver! I'm going as fast as I can! Finally, Remus grabbed the top of the well and vaulted him and the rooster out, just before the entire thing collapsed. Remus fell backwards onto the ground, panting for breath. Pierre pecked at him curiously, and Remus waved him away. "You," he said between pants, "are one lucky fucking rooster." Chapter 7. The Dream of the Ocean Below. Logan shifted in his seat. It had been a while since Remus had ventured out, and Logan's position had begun to get incredibly uncomfortable. The restraints on his wrists dug painfully into his skin. The hay poked his back and his legs, but he couldn't scratch the spots. Monarch tapped their fingers along the throne. Well, Logic, it seems as if creativity has abandoned you, they crowed. Logan raised an eyebrow. He'll be back, Logan said, and Monarch scoffed. How can you be so sure? Logan tilted his head at the question. Because he said so. Monarch blinked at that, then started laughing. Logan frowned. He did not like being laughed at. Oh, Logic, they said, wiping at their eyes. Did you not entertain the thought that creativity was lying? No, Logan said, eyeing the blade of the mantis hybrid. If he was going to leave, he simply would have said it. Remus is not a liar. Monarch hummed. And who is a liar, in your mind? Logan considered the question for a moment. Someone who wears a bowler hat, he said matter-of-factly. What? Monarch started, but was interrupted by a loud shout from behind Logan. Hey, bug bitch! Screamed the voice. Something white flew over Logan's head and landed in Monarch's lap. Usually people buy me dinner before asking me to grab their cock, but I'll make an exception just this once. Logan allowed himself a small smile as Remus sauntered up to the throne. Now let him go, or I'll make good on that science museum idea, he growled. Monarch held eye contact for a minute, the entire throne room silent, before laughing lightly and waving their hand. Logan's restraints unwound, and Logan got up while rubbing his wrists. The bruises that mottled them looked like an abstract painting punctured with beads of blood. Monarch hugged the rooster close to their chest and cooed. Oh, a deal's a deal, creativity. They waved their hands, and a small portal appeared in front of them. The portal looked similar to what the dream door had been, shimmering as if made from holographic film. Despite your trespassing, I do wish you safe passage on your journey. Even you, Logic. They eyed Logan. It seems you aren't so bad. A word of warning, though. The deeper you go into the dreamscape, the darker it gets. They tilted their head for a moment. Don't hold your breath, they said with a wink. Yeah, whatever. Goodbye forever, Remus grumbled and grabbed Logan's arm. Logan held in a whimper at that. His wrists were still sore from the shackles, and he let Remus lead them through the portal. And they were instantly surrounded by water. Logan's eyes widened. He held in his breath as they sunk towards the floor of what looked to be a brightly lit ocean floor. Pink and purple corals dotted the white sand. Dark navy blue rocks rose up in different directions, and the light caught the scales of the schools of fish that swam by. Logan and Remus landed in a patch of kelp, and Logan's lungs were screaming in protest as he kept in his breath. Remus was beginning to look purple as the other side held his breath in as well. Don't hold your breath. Logan raised an eyebrow. Could Monarch have been speaking literally? He took an experimental breath in, and oxygen rushed into his chest. He tapped Remus. It's safe to breathe, Remus, Logan said. Remus let out a gasp and breathed in. Oh, would you look at that? Remus said, taking in the scene around him. We're under the sea. He grinned and started singing. Under the sea, everything's better down where it's wetter. He turned to Logan and wiggled his eyebrows suggestively. Logan tilted his head. While the ocean is usually wet, it would seem that we are staying dry. How perplexing. Remus groaned and rolled his eyes. Despite being underwater, it was fairly easy to walk along the surface. When Logan looked up, though, there was no ocean surface, but a sky packed with stars in different shapes and sizes. Logan breathed quietly, letting himself gaze for a moment longer before shaking his head. There was a task to get done, no time to waste. Though there was still a weight on his throbbing wrist. Logan looked down. You can let go of my hand now, Remus, Logan said. Remus turned, then let go of Logan's hand so fast that it seemed as if he was burned. Sorry, Remus squeaked, turning around and rubbing his neck. It's quite all right, Logan said, rubbing his aching wrists. Remus turned back around, narrowing his eyes at the slowly blackening skin. He knelt down and began ripping up patches of seaweed. Remus? What are you... Logan stopped when Remus took Logan's hand in his own, in a much lighter fashion than before. He stood back up with a long piece of seaweed in his hands and carefully wrapped it around Logan's wrists. The cool plant against his angry skin made Logan sigh. You should have said something when I grabbed your wrist, nerd. That must have hurt, Remus grumbled. Several things ran through Logan's mind, such as how seaweed had been used as a bandaging material for several centuries, or how alginate from seaweed was a common pharmaceutical ingredient. Oh, was all that he could say, unsure why his heart was beating so fast. Remus grabbed another long strand of seaweed and did the same to Logan's other hand. Logan had seen Remus punch through walls and screens, shatter glass and crack open conjured skulls. He could hardly believe that those same hands could be so gentle. Thank you, Logan said when he was done. Remus hummed and looked up.
Well, we made it to the next dream, but what now?
Logan rubbed his chin. Up until now, the way out of the current dream had simply shown up. They hadn't had to search for the exit. Logan felt his gaze drifting to the stars again, but shook his head. No, he couldn't let himself get distracted. Instead, he turned to Remus. What was the answer to the riddle in the previous dream? Perhaps it could give us a clue. Remus hummed and told him what happened. How he had found the rooster in the well with different patterned bricks. How he found out that he could only touch the bricks with ladybugs in order to climb up and down the well. Remus was moving his hands wildly in excitement, his eyes glittering as he recounted the story. Why the ladybug? Logan asked, and Remus perked up.
Well, it was less of a riddle and more of just wordplay, Remus said, holding a finger up. My first clue was the bird's name was French. He also crowed in the French version of cock-a-doodle-doo.
Logan tilted his head, waiting for him to continue.
At first, I tried to solve the riddle like you had, all logically and stuff. But eventually, I just started insulting the rooster. Called him an arrogant cock, basically. And that's when it clicked.
Remus swam in a small circle.
Cock's in a well. Say it fast enough, and it sounds like coquinelle, the French word for ladybug.
Logan blinked. That's brilliant, Remus, he said, fighting the strange urge to ask Remus to speak French again. Remus's ears turned red. He floated cross-legged and poked at his toes.
Well, I'm sure you could have figured it out faster.
Logan shook his head. Falsehood. I don't know French, and I certainly wouldn't have insulted the rooster. It would have taken me a much longer time. Remus ducked his head, and Logan tilted his. Had he said something to make the other side uncomfortable?
Well,
Remus said after a minute, and floated on his back.
There's nothing here that has to do with French or ladybugs, so I doubt it'll help us now.
Logan frowned. Remus was awfully insistent on downplaying his own contributions. Logan was about to comment on it when Remus cheered.
Logan! Logan, look!
Logan turned his head to where Remus was tossing something that looked like a ball from one hand to the other. He held it out. Logan watched as the ball slowly turned purple and unfurled to reveal 8 tentacles. Logan bent over to look at it, then hid a small squeal of delight.
An octopus!
Remus nodded excitedly. Logan had almost forgotten that the octopus was Remus's animal symbol, like how a snake was Janice's and how spiders were Virgil's. Strangely enough, the octopus didn't seem bothered by Remus's handling. It simply let itself float from hand to hand.
Did you know octopi have 3 hearts?
Remus asked. Logan nodded. They're also known to be incredibly smart, he said. Before that day, it wasn't a trait Logan would have thought applicable to Remus, but the more Logan thought about it, the more he realized that he hadn't really ever had a proper conversation with the Duke before. Remus hummed.
Sometimes they eat their appendages when they're bored.
Logan blinked. He had not known that.
It's called autophagy, Remus continued, and
He trailed off when Logan hadn't responded. I guess that's kind of gross, he mumbled. Logan shook his head. And it what? He prodded, wondering why Remus hadn't finished his thought. Remus looked up, catching the octopus between his hands and staring at Logan. You don't mind? Don't mind what? Remus stared at him for a moment longer before returning to his game of toss. Nothing. It's like a form of an extreme stress reaction, he finished. The octopus rested on Remus's head, and Logan poked at its arms, as if it was going to eat one in that moment. Well, this octopus doesn't seem to be in danger of that. It seems rather docile. The octopus curled and uncurled its arms.
I think it's trying to tell you that it can be dangerous if it wants to be.
Logan hummed. I don't doubt it. Octopi especially should be considered armed and dangerous. Neither Logan nor the octopus was prepared for how Remus burst out laughing. A bright and cheerful sound that, logically, seemed to fill up the entire ocean. If Logan hadn't known better, he would think that the sound had somehow made everything brighter. The red anemones seemed to suddenly burst scarlet. The dust-brown fish shimmered golden, and flounders rippled with green-blue waves. Of course, that would have been impossible. Logan chalked it up to a trick of the light. The octopus drifted off of Remus as he floated and clutched at his sides.
Sorry, he said, wiping his eyes. I'm just a sucker for octopus jokes.
Logan blinked. Sucker. Like octopus suckers. Logan snorted.
They really cracking me up.
Remus piped up again, and this time Logan couldn't hold back his laugh. The octopus had swum away, perhaps tired of their octopus jokes, leaving the two of them doubled over in laughter, floating at the bottom of the ocean. Chapter 8. The Dream of the Stars Above. Remus grinned widely. The weird tingly feeling was back, but he didn't even care this time because Logan was laughing. Laughing. Full-bodied, doubled over, tears in his eyes, laughing, and Remus was slowly becoming addicted to the sound. When they were done patronizing all octopus kind, Remus let out a sigh and went back to floating on his back. They didn't really know where they were going, but Logan had recommended they pick a direction to start, and so Remus floated aimlessly as Logan walked alongside of him. After a minute, Remus spoke up.
"Hey, Logan."
Logan hummed.
"Why don't you do that more often?"
he asked. Logan tilted his head up at Remus in question.
"You know,"
Remus said, getting in a cross-legged position while still bobbing along with the water.
"talking about things you like, joking, laughing that incredibly pretty laugh."
Remus shook his head, resolutely ignoring that last thought. Logan shuffled a bit. His face began to tilt upwards, towards the starry sky above them, but he shook his head and continued forwards. "If I allow myself to joke, no one will take me seriously," he said simply.
"I take you seriously,"
Remus said. Logan snorted, but stopped when he saw the expression on Remus's face. "You do?" he asked, not unkindly, just curiously. Remus laughed.
"I kind of have to, nerd. You're the only one who can reel me in before I really start to negatively affect Thomas."
Logan shifted again. You can't control that?" Remus shrugged.
"Part of my function is dark creativity, sure, but the intrusive thoughts part are kind of..."
Remus put a hand to his chin.
"It's kind of like Virgil's relationship with anxiety. Good in certain doses, but debilitating to a certain degree. Just like Virgil doesn't want to hurt Thomas,
Remus stopped, flushing. What was he saying? Why was he telling all this to Logan? "You what?" Logan asked softly, and Remus groaned.
"Nothing,"
Remus said, refusing to continue the conversation even at Logan's small frown. The two continued on their way. Remus noticed Logan's eyes drifting more and more towards the sky, but each time he shook his head and looked forward. Remus floated to the ocean floor and put a hand on Logan's shoulder, flinching a bit when the other jumped back in surprise.
"Logan, what are you doing?"
Remus asked. Logan said with a blink. "Walking forwards?" Remus shook his head.
"You keep looking at the sky, then shaking your head, then looking at the sky, then shaking your head. It's giving me whiplash."
Logan shifted in his spot. "We don't have time for stargazing. We must locate Thomas and the dream he keeps getting stuck in." Remus said, letting Logan walk forwards a bit before scooping him up.
"Remus!"
Logan shrieked. Remus ignored it and instead jumped up so that the two of them were suspended in the water. Remus let go of Logan's waist, but held on to his hand, making sure not to grab the spot where his wrists were wrapped in seaweed.
"Logan, we don't really know where we're going, and the current is carrying us anyways. If you want to look at the stars, look at the stars."
"But..."
"No buts, unless they're juicy buts," he said with a wink. "Now, come on, stare at the sky for a minute."
Remus said, trying not to focus too much on how it felt like his heart migrated to where his and Logan's hands were connected. Logan huffed, but after a minute he let himself look at the sky. His legs floated gently upward until he was floating on his back. The stars aren't in their actual positions," Logan started.
"I mean, it is a dream."
"True," Logan said, then smiled, a soft pink curve against a sea of blue. "But it is rather beautiful." Logan's dark brown hair softly waved in the water, framing his face and catching the light, the hundreds of stars reflected in his glasses and his eyes. "Yeah," Remus breathed, totally 100% looking at the sky. "Beautiful." They stared in silence, letting the water rock them back and forth. Every so often a school of fish would spiral and swim above them, but for the most part they had a clear view of the starry sky. Remus wondered if Logan noticed that they were still pretty much holding hands. He wondered why he hadn't said anything about it. Logan pointed up. "Oh, there's Polaris, the North Star, and the 45th brightest star in the sky," he said, then pointed to another one. "And there's Aldebaran." Logan continued pointing out stars and listing off different facts about them. True, it wasn't his usual topic of interest, but Remus couldn't help but get sucked into it by the sheer force of Logan's enthusiasm.
"Is that a constellation?"
Remus asked, pointing to the stars Logan had just listed off. Logan nodded. "Yes, that's the Taurus constellation, though it seems to have a few extra stars near it." Remus stretched. "Huh. Thomas is a Taurus," he said. Logan nodded. "Well, yes, in terms of his astrological sun sign, which is a bit of an unfound topic, but..." Logan stopped, shifting upwards. "Thomas is a Taurus," he said. Remus tilted his head.
"Yeah, that's what I just..."
"No, Remus, look!" Logan outlined the shape of the extra stars in the constellation. They almost looked like... "It's an arrow!" Remus exclaimed. "We are looking for Thomas, so..."
"We just need to follow the arrow from his constellation," Remus finished.
The arrow was pointing just to the right of them. Remus and Logan switched course and began swimming, quickly now that they had a destination to go in. After passing through a few reefs and a short run-in with the octopus again, who had brought a friend and seemed to want to play toss with Remus, they arrived. Right under the arrow was a glowing blue cave, adorned with a silver bowl on the sides.
"I'd say this is the place,"
Remus said, noting that the entrance shimmered like holographic film, just like the dream portals they had gone through before. They swam through, and immediately fell. Chapter 9. The Dream of the Raging Bull. Logan was thankful that, though they had fallen quite a few number of times since beginning of this journey, he had always landed on something rather soft or sturdy. First it was a cloud, then a flower, now... Logan looked up. Wavy brown hair with a shock of white, as well as a pair of warm brown and emerald eyes filled his vision. Ah, the Duke had caught him. Easily, too, by the looks of it. Logan cleared his throat. He could have simply asked to be let down, but his voice wasn't functioning properly at the moment for some strange reason.
Ah,
Remus said, then let Logan down.
Sorry.
Logan straightened his tie. No need for apologies, Logan said, glad his voice was back. Thank you for catching me. Remus nudged Logan with his elbow.
Guess you fell for me, huh?
He said. Logan frowned. No, we both fell at the same time, when we went through the cave entrance. Logan leaned forward, checking Remus's pupils for dilation. It happened only moments ago. Did you perhaps have a head injury? Remus groaned and pushed Logan's head away, mumbling something that sounded like, never mind. Logan tilted his head, but decided not to pursue the matter. He looked around. The new dream seemed to be some sort of cave environment. Cracks in the walls leaked out silver light, and water dripped from the stalactites on the ceiling. Warm air came in waves from behind Logan, and Logan turned around to ascertain the source. When he did, he nearly jumped. Not because he was scared, of course, just startled. Anyone would be if they came face to face with what looked like a 10-foot red-eyed bull with canines where incisors should be. Remus? Logan said. Remus turned to where Logan was standing and paled.
Shit,
he said softly.
Lavash, it's okay, Logan. Just no sudden movements. Back away slowly.
Logan did, eyeing the bull and thinking of the octopus and the sea life they had just encountered. Perhaps it's friendly? He asked. The bull reared back and let out an ear-shattering roar before charging at Logan.
I'll take that as a no,
Remus yelled, grabbed Logan by the collar and tossed him down the cave, taking his place. Roared the bull as he jammed a horn towards Remus. Instead of dodging, Remus caught it with his arms, hefted himself up with one arm, and brought down his mace. The bones shattered apart, and Remus held up the horn triumphantly. Remus! Logan yelled. Remus, get out of there! But the Duke ignored Logan. He threw the horn, ducked under the bull's legs, ran to the other side, and waved.
Come on, you big dumb cow. You don't want the nerd. He's all skin and bones.
Remus wiggled his butt at it.
I'm a much juicier meal.
Remus! Logan screamed. Not scared, though. Definitely not scared. The bull charged at Remus, but he sidestepped the horn easily. The bull, however, was a bit smarter this time, and used its front leg to kick Remus into the wall. Remus fell to the ground, just barely rolling away from the bull's next charge. Damn it. Logan couldn't just sit there and watch. But it's not like there was a riddle this time. Just a giant monster with insane brute strength. There wasn't much Logan could do. Damn it! Logan's head whipped up. The bull had managed to pin Remus's shirt with its remaining horn, and was about to clamp down on its shoulder with its teeth. Remus! Logan screamed. The detached horn was still lying next to his feet, and Logan grabbed it and ran towards the bull. What are you doing, you dumbass? Remus yelled, trying to pull free. That's what I should be asking you! Logan yelled. Just run away, Logan! Go find Thomas! Logan didn't even dignify that with an answer. Instead, he located the bull's underarm, a location full of nerves, and plunged the horn into it. The bull wailed, throwing its head back and releasing Remus, who dropped to the ground. Logan spun around and kicked the horn deeper into the beast, who vibrated, just like the owl had, and disappeared in a shimmer of silver. Logan breathed heavily, staring at where the bull had disappeared for a moment before rushing to Remus's side. Remus was leaning heavily on the wall as he used it to pick himself up. Logan went under his other arm and helped him. Are you okay? He asked. Remus groaned, cracked his back, and patted himself down. Yeah, I think so. He rubbed where his shoulder had been jammed against the wall. It's gonna hurt in the morning, though, for sure. Logan sighed, relieved, then marched up to Remus and jabbed a finger in his chest.
Logan?
And Logan let all of his fury shine through his expression. Remus, I will not repeat myself again. We are both needed to help Thomas in this quest. What were you thinking? Remus shifted.
I mean...
Clearly, you weren't. Logan finished for him, and Remus glared.
I was thinking that there's no way you could have taken on a 3-ton bull.
Well, I did, didn't I?
Only because I distracted it.
You nearly getting impaled was a distraction?
Yes.
No.
It worked, didn't it?
Ugh, Logan groaned, throwing his hands up in the air and pacing in a circle. You're improbable. Remus squinted.
Don't you mean impossible?
Logan put his hands on his hips. No, if you were impossible, you wouldn't exist. Remus rolled his eyes.
It's a saying, Logan.
Whatever. I'm saying, Logan started and jabbed a finger at Remus again, that we both need to make it back to reality. Both of us. So don't... Logan's voice had started shaking, and he swallowed a few times. Do not ever pull a stunt like that again. Got it?
But...
Got it? Remus gulped.
Sure, yeah, okay.
Logan narrowed his eyes. It wasn't a convincing confirmation, but it would have to do for now. Good, he said, patting himself a bit and looking around for an indication of which direction they should go next. Remus rubbed his head and also began to look, as an uncomfortable silence hung between the two of them.
Logan?
Remus asked. What? Logan snapped.
Are you mad?
Logan didn't answer for a beat. The question was so innocently posed that he almost felt his anger get snuffed out. Almost. He turned to face Remus. I am upset, yes, he said, eyes softening a bit when the Duke looked almost downcast at his response. Logan turned around. I'm upset because you, a perfectly capable side, insist on throwing yourself at danger at any given moment. Upset that you, a part of Thomas, just like the rest of us, seem to insist on thinking of yourself as lesser. It's infuriating, terrifying, heartbreaking, aggravating, Logan settled on. Logan turned back to Remus, who was now poking holes in the cave wall with the bull's horn, which, strangely, hadn't vanished with the bull. Well, it's not really my job to be pleasant, Remus grumbled. You know that's not what I meant, Logan said. Remus laughed.
It doesn't matter what you meant, Logan, because you're wrong.
Logan's eyes narrowed at that. He didn't like being laughed at. He certainly didn't like being told he was wrong. I am not.
You are. You are,
Remus insisted, pointing at Logan.
Thomas needs you to function, Patton to feel, Virgil to stay safe, Janus to take care of himself.
And he needs you and Roman for his creativity. Remus jammed the horn deeper into the wall.
No, he needs Roman for his creativity. I'm just an offshoot, a reject. Nightmares come true.
Logan sighed. Remus was shoving the horn deeper, rocks and debris falling on his hands as he did so, and Logan stopped his by placing a hand on top of his. Remus's eyebrows shot up and he looked at Logan. Remus, he said, like I've said before, just as Roman is more than just Thomas's creativity, or Janus's just deceit, you, too, contribute more than you give yourself credit for. You're his impulse, his spontaneity, a piece of his imagination. You even contribute to his understanding of abstract concepts like death and religion. Logan looked up, his voice catching a little when he realized how close they were, but continuing anyways. You are just as important as the rest of us. I'm not saying this as an opinion. I say it as a fact. He smiled. Got it? Remus swallowed and looked away. Got it. Thank you all so much for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and if you like what you hear and you want to read more, you can find the link to the fic and the author in the description. If you want to check out other podfics I've done, you can click on the playlist linked on the screen. See you next time!